Tonight on Business Life, about 16 banks to record more losses this year as a result of the domestic debt exchange program. We will hear from a report. Coalition of individual bondholders groups to picket Finance Ministry on Thursday to demand payment of bonds. And rural and community banks intensify drive to increase shareholder investment to mitigate negative impact of the domestic debt exchange program.
Went ahead with strategies with regards to a banking relationship. Build a relationship with them that goes beyond just coming to do the business with them. Try to help them in their business areas, give them some expertise to help them, for their businesses to grow.
We have details of these and many others coming your way all in a moment. Please stay. I am Pius Kojo Baka. Let's now settle for the details. And about 16 banks could record more losses this year as a result of the domestic debt exchange program. Now, according to a research conducted by banking consultants Dr. Richmond Etuahene and KB Frimpong, the uncaptured losses of nearly 17.1 billion cedis could impact negatively on the 2023 audited financial statement of these 16 banks that did not capture the entire losses in 2022. There is more for you in this report.
Out of the 22 banks, only 6 banks managed to capture fully the impairment losses in 2022. The rest of the losses would have to be captured before the banks submit their recapitalization as requested by the International Monetary Fund Country Report on Ghana. The 16 banks are expected to include the remaining impairment losses of about 17.1 billion cedis in their 2023 audited financial statement, which could also impact negatively on their capital adequacy ratio and profitability. The 22 banks recorded impairment losses of about 19.4 billion cedis as a result of the domestic debt exchange program. This impacted their profitability. 8 banks' capital adequacy ratio, which measures the bank's accessible capital expressed as a percentage of a bank's risk-weighted assets and liabilities, is now below 13%. The domestic debt exchange program has resulted in losses. The report therefore urged the Bank of Ghana to periodically monitor the expected capital shortfalls and ensure that plans on rebuilding capital buffers are implemented.
Now, the coalition of individual bondholders groups has notified the government that members of the group will picket the Ministry of Finance come Thursday to demand payment of their bonds. The coalition, which is made up of Individual Bondholders Association of Ghana and Individual Bondholders Forum, consists of about 3,000 individual bondholders. Here's more.
In a statement signed by convener of Individual Bondholders Association of Ghana, Dr. Joel Jangma, and convener of the IBF, Senyo Hosi, the coalition said its members will picket the ministry from July 6, 2023 until the resolution of their grievances. It explained that members will be picketing to, among other things, draw government attention to its failure to pay outstanding principals due its members and the facilitation of the conversion of subsequent maturing bonds into treasury bills in the month of June and beyond, as agreed in the MOU signed by the leadership of the Coalition of Individual Bondholders and the Ministry of Finance on behalf of the government.
On to one of our headline stories, and some business associations have appealed to the finance minister to use the 2023 media budget review to take a relook at some taxes to provide financial space for businesses. Now, the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry has, for example, called on government to reduce taxes on importation of raw materials to make local businesses competitive. Let's go on phone and speak to Senior Manager, Tax Unit at Deloitte Ghana, Gilbert Irinchi Ado, for his perspective on this call. Gilbert, pleasure you could join me on Business Live. First off, we saw government introduce some taxes in the 2023 budget, now as part of the IMF conditions for securing a bailout. Now, do you believe it's time for us to use the 2023 media budget review, scrap some of these taxes?
I think that it will be pretty premature for government to possibly consider the cry from industry players. But be that as it may, I think that the tone in the economy in terms of what business, the challenges businesses are facing should also be something that has to be considered by government. Either way, you raise revenue through the economic activities of these business entities. So it's very important that you give a fair consideration to the challenges that they are facing, because cost of doing business, is clearly up the roof. And when these things are happening, it also tends to affect other tax handles, not only corporate taxes, because it could affect PAYE, employment income taxes, and other streams of taxes, because these industry players will try to also put in place cost-cutting measures which will affect other areas of revenue mobilization. So government will need to strike a balance in ensuring that, look, we set out these policies in order to meet the IMF conditionalities. We've been able to make headway. What can we also do to ensure that we meet the industry players halfway in order for them to have some respite in doing business in Ghana? There's been that call for government to scrap off the COVID-19 levy, and I think that is something that is in order, because the essence or the purpose for which it was established, I think that has outlived its time, because COVID, in essence, has been declared by the World Health Organization as something that is manageable now, and it is within the control of most countries within the global space. So these are some of the tax handles that I think that government should be considering in order to bring some respite to business or key industry players within the business industry in Ghana.
And the key concern from businesses really is about the COVID-19 levy and what have you. But do you think government can really do that?
No, the bit of if government can really do that is something that government, there is that possibility. If you do the cost-benefit analysis, because there's in that call for cost-cutting measures. And this call did not only come from industry players, but it did also come through the IMF reports that government should look at managing some of its expenditures in order to get that avenue for revenue mobilization, and also implement some revenue mobilization measures other than bringing on board new tax handles, which can also lead to what? Revenue mobilization. It all rests on data. So if they have done the data analytics well, to look at areas where they can make some changes which will give some respite, why not? That has to be done, because I have indicated earlier on that what it will be the essence of increasing taxes and then, getting people out of business. What revenue are you seeking to mobilize them? Because it is when they engage in economic activities that they are able to make the necessary and the necessary income for the necessary taxes to be paid. So government should also, I think that if there should be that possibility, if they look at expenditure management in order to be able to, meet businesses halfway.
All right, so Gilbert, in the event that really come the budget review, we don't see that happen, what becomes of these businesses?
It will be a bit disappointing anyway because of the expectations of these businesses, of course. And I would say that we need to see the light of day on the rippling actions that will come if government are not able to bring on board other policy measures that can then bring some respite for these businesses. But it will be quite disappointing because of the expectations of these key industry players.
Well, looking at the posture of government, do you think businesses would have to be expectant? Yes, they have to raise these concerns to drum home their concerns, but really, must they be highly expectant?
Please, I didn't get your question.
I'm asking that, looking at the time frame we are in, must they be expectant, knowing very well government's posture when it comes to, the reduction of taxes, because government has not been responsive to that call so far?
No, that expectation must be there. I mean, in spite of the challenges that we face, I mean, it is important for them to make that call. I think it's very important. And once it's on record that call was made, it's better than not making that call at all. But then I think that the pressures from the economy, from the industry players, could see the light of day. And possibly government is also a listening government, and they may try to see if there could be some room to, create that kind of respite for these businesses.
Gilbert Irinchi Ado, we are indeed grateful for your time. He's a senior manager tax unit at Deloitte, Ghana, speaking to us there. More on businesses, and the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry says there is a need for the business community to be well informed and updated on the impact of the International Monetary Fund program. This the Chamber said will aid local businesses to factor the effects of the IMF program in their long-term plans. According to the president of the Chamber, Clement Seyamwakun, there should be more ambitious structural reforms to support businesses.
The increased cost of doing business is also driving up inflation. These developments depict the hardship businesses are currently facing as a result of these measures. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, given the potential adverse consequences of these reforms on businesses, it is crucial that business operators are well informed about the IMF program and its implication for their operations. It is equally important for them to implement measures that can effectively mitigate the negative impact on our businesses. Hence, the Chamber has taken this initiative to organize this edition of the Chamber National Dialogue. Furthermore, the Chamber is earnestly committed to utilizing this dialogue as an advocacy platform to communicate the concerns of businesses to the government. In line with its mandate, the Chamber intends to actively pursue follow-ups with the government and relevant departments to ensure that these concerns are given urgent consideration, particularly during the upcoming mid-year budget review.
Now, some rural and community banks are calling for an increase in shareholder investment to sustain growth of the sector. The intensified call is to mitigate the negative effect of the domestic debt exchange program and the economic downturn on the banking sector. Already, managers of Echima Mpona Rural Bank are making headway through an enhanced drive to improve shareholders' capital. Nanaya Ojima was at the bank's annual general meeting and has filed this report.
As financial institutions recover from the negative impact of COVID-19 pandemic and the banking sector reforms, the sector has been hit by Ghana's domestic debt exchange program with the IMF. Banks hold more than 30% of the amount swapped for the new instrument. Executive Director of the Association of Rural Banks, Comfort Ousu, explains the ARB Apex Bank is making efforts to get the Bank of Ghana to release some liquidity to the banks.
Our banks, ARB Apex Bank, has done some submission to the Ministry of Finance for consideration so that we can get some funds to cushion the RCBs. So we are looking forward to get a positive response from the government.
To meet the capital needs, the Atwemamponua Rural Bank has intensified campaigns to get customers to invest more through shares. Already, the bank's prestige customers and directors are responding to the calls. Board chairperson Constance Phyllis Putik explains.
But we went ahead with strategies with regards to a banking relationship. Build a relationship with them that goes beyond just coming to do the business with them. Try to help them in their business areas, give them some expertise to help them, for their businesses to grow. Most of these, we term them prestige customers, have come on board and even bought shares.
The bank's financials show deposits have increased to 126.6 million cedis from 113 million cedis in 2021. Assets increased from 104 million cedis to 122 million cedis, with loan portfolio growing to 28 million cedis from 22.1 million cedis. Mrs. Putik believes the release of some investments locked up in fund houses will strengthen the sector.
If you look at the accounts that we presented, you see the huge chunk of this investment lying with these fund houses that have not been liquidated but still cannot even give us our funds. We are pleading with government to come to our aid and support the rural folks who have so much confidence in the rural and community banks.
For Joy News, Nanaya Ochima reporting.
And government has inaugurated a 15-member National Steering Committee for the 2023 Integrated Business Establishment Survey to conduct an economic census of all businesses in Ghana. Then the committee will provide strategic guidance and general oversight of survey and monitor activities to ensure successful implementation. Government statistician Professor Samuel Kobnenim outlined the objectives of the survey. Hello, welcome back from that break. We've got to take our earlier story where government has inaugurated a 15-member National Steering Committee for the 2023 Integrated Business Establishment Survey to conduct an economic census for all businesses in Ghana. Let's now hear from government statistician Professor Samuel Kobnenim.
In terms of the objectives of the 2023 Integrated Business Establishment Survey, the first is to build an updated online business register. We have done this 3 times, but we've not been successful in building an updated online business register. Honorable Deputy Minister and colleagues, why we think this is important is that until we get a live register, some of the important data that we expect from an integrated business establishment survey will never suffice. One of which is constantly getting data on employment, both from the demand side and the supply side. At GSS, anytime we do a household survey, from the supply side, we are able to get employment data. But going forward, we should be able to complement the supply side employment data with the demand side employment data. And the only way we can do that is if we make data interoperable and integrated across all government ministries once we get this base data, so that regularly we can update our online business register. Clearly, with what I've shared with you earlier on, this will give us an opportunity to update the categorization of businesses and more specifically look at the distribution of businesses based on their demographics, i.e. the age, the size, the location, ownership of the businesses. One thing that we're emphasizing with the 2023 Business Establishment Survey is having our growth poles. And this is something that I think is long overdue for us as a country, because when we think about the different products that we have, be it agri, be it industry, we don't know where our growth poles are. With these 3 rounds of data, that is 2003, 2013, and 2023, we should be in a position to say that for each particular product, from a geographical point of view, these are different growth poles. And that is what we expect to do after this analysis. And this is going to go a long way to address the increasing inequality that we see in the country.
Well, Deputy Minister of Finance, Abnasi Asare, who inaugurated the 15-member National Steering Committee for the 2023 Integrated Business Establishment Survey, said the outcome would help in comprehensive decision-making and planning.
Last time this kind of survey, business survey, was done was in 2013, and it looked at certain areas. And I believe that with this current one that we are about to look at, we will go into more details and also help us address certain things that relate to not just businesses and their existence, but also what comes with it, the taxes that they pay, whether they are paying the relevant taxes or not. And this will help us also profile the way we look at our GDP and other equally important economic targets that we have in this country. We will demand of all these agencies a certain class of staff. It should be at a level that they can take decisions that will best affect us positively. And we should attach all seriousness to this exercise that is going to be done. Ministry of Finance with the Minister is also ready to support and assist in every way that we can, and to make sure that at the end of the day we have a successful survey that will help inputs or bring us some inputs to help government take the necessary decisions and policies that will guide our economy.
Moving on to some other stories, the German corporation says it is investing 53 million euros in capacity development training for agricultural entrepreneurs up to 2027. Speaking to Joy Business, technical advisor at GIC, Maleni Hinera, said the project, dubbed Business Support Facility for Resilient Agriculture Value Chains, seeks to transform the lives of many in the sector, especially women.
GIC, the Agribusiness Facility for Africa, together with GIC Move Cashew, we have launched the very first training of Gender Makes Business Sense Plus. It's a training approach that was actually developed by another GIC program called ATVET for Women with the African Union Development Agency, AUDA NEPAD. And now ABF and Move, we have worked on the content of GMBS Plus, and we made it better for scaling, and we also worked on the business modules. And now we are launching it here for the very first time in Ghana. The entire volume of the project is 53 million euros. And then, some of them is going into the development of the new training approaches. We have the core output, which is the matching grant fund, and then we also have an output for South-South exchange, where stakeholders can exchange about how the implementation went. Maybe one country has developed a very innovative strategy, and this can be shared then with other countries for the same value chain.
Now, the Corporate Business Development Directorate, known as the CBDD of the Full Gospel Businessmen, is ready to host the Made in Business Expo in Ghana and the World Convention for the Global Fellowship. The event, which marks an important activity for the group, seeks to uplift business potentials of participants and support members' business growth. There is more in this report. The Corporate Business Development Directorate is the business development and marketing wing of the Full Gospel Businessmen Fellowship in Ghana. The aim of this year's convention and business expo is to showcase some innovations by members to participants and also serve as a platform for members to network. National Director for the Directorate, Ray Snowden, has been speaking to Joy Business on the upcoming event.
We're hoping to have a lot of business-to-business engagement through that exercise. We're also hosting a business seminar where we have seasoned speakers in the country who will talk on the theme ethics and integrity for the new normal. As we've drummed over and over again, we believe if we can catch our businessmen and emphasize the importance of ethics and integrity in the marketplace, we can address some of these issues that are springing up about corruption and the canker of corruption. We are very passionate as a Corporate Business Development Directorate is to support the country and the government in addressing the corruption issue. And we believe that by training and equipping our businessmen on ethics and integrity, we can play our part in solving this problem.
Global Advisory Council Chairman Dani Mawonyega believes this is an important convention for gospel businessmen and women.
Nobody in this country today should miss this convention because it is, apart from the business aspect, the spiritual aspect is equally important. And remember in Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 18, the Bible says that do not forget your God who gave you the ability to get wealth, and he who blessed you and made a covenant with your forefathers.
And that's it for the bulletin. I am Pius Kojo Baka. Let's connect same time tomorrow. See you. Bye.